The mockery of humanity. The galaxy was an ancient and vast expanse, filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes. These beings had seen eons of history unfold before them, watching countless civilizations rise and fall. Among them, the humans were nothing but a small, fragile species, barely clinging to life in their corner of the universe. Their technological advancements were rudimentary, their spacefaring capabilities laughable. To the powerful and ancient alien races, Earth was little more than a curiosity, a fleeting dot in the cosmos that held no real significance. The high councils of the most powerful galactic empires met in their grand halls, discussing their next steps in their never-ending conquests. As they spoke, their voices echoed through the immense chambers, filled with the pride of millennia of victories. They spoke of humans with derision, mocking their primitive weapons, their outdated ships, and their pitiful attempts to explore the stars. In their eyes, humanity was a species destined to be crushed under the weight of the galaxy's might. But there was something the alien races failed to understand. They underestimated humans. For years, Earth had been quietly observing the galaxy, learning, growing, and adapting. While the alien races bickered over control of planets and systems, humanity had quietly worked in the shadows, developing their own methods of warfare and technology. The galaxy laughed at them, but humanity had their eyes set on something much more important: survival. Despite their arrogance, the alien races did not realize that humans were not weak. They had been underestimated in every way. The Earth was a world that had survived countless challenges, from the ice ages to the rise and fall of empires, from the horrors of war to the beauty of cooperation. Humans had endured, and it was this resilience that made them far more dangerous than any alien could imagine. In the grand halls of the galactic councils, the leaders spoke with a sense of superiority. The humans were nothing more than a footnote, a species too primitive to pose a threat. The aliens had been at the top of the galactic hierarchy for centuries, and they saw no reason why that would ever change. With every passing day, their overconfidence grew. After all, they had conquered worlds, destroyed entire civilizations, and amassed power that no one could challenge. The alien fleet that was dispatched to Earth was enormous. It was a symbol of the galaxy's might, a fleet filled with the most advanced ships and the most powerful weapons. The commanders of the fleet were seasoned warriors, their minds sharp and calculating, their fleets ready for anything. As they approached Earth, they spoke of the inevitable victory. Earth was unprepared, they said. The humans were weak, and their attempts at defense would be no match for the superior technology and strategy of the galactic forces. But what the alien commanders did not know was that humanity had prepared for this moment. They had studied the galaxy's weaknesses, the flaws in alien technology, and the gaps in their understanding of war. Earth was not the helpless, defenseless world they thought it was. The humans had something the aliens had never accounted for: the ability to adapt, to fight, and to survive against all odds. The moment the alien fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, they were greeted with a silence that was unlike any other they had encountered. It was the calm before the storm, the quiet that preceded the clash of titans. The fleet arrived without warning, expecting to find a defenseless world, unprepared for the battle ahead. They sent their scouts, their sensors sweeping the planet for any signs of life or resistance. What they found was nothing. No signs of large-scale military forces, no massive fortifications, no signs of a planet that could mount any serious defense. The alien commanders were pleased with their findings. Earth was a quiet, peaceful world, with no significant military presence to challenge them. The humans had nothing to fight back with, and so they saw no reason to waste time. They would land, deploy their troops, and take control of the planet in a matter of hours. As the alien ships began to descend toward Earth's surface, the leaders felt a sense of victory swelling inside them. This was going to be easy, they thought. There was no one to stop them. They were about to crush the humans underfoot, to claim Earth as another prize in their endless campaign of conquest. But the alien fleet had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and they had failed to account for the one thing that made humans different from all the other species in the galaxy: their sheer will to survive. The humans had nothing to prove to the galaxy, but they had everything to fight for. Earth was their home, their sanctuary, and they would not let it fall without a fight. As the alien fleet touched down on Earth's surface, expecting to meet little more than resistance from local forces, they received a shocking message. A human voice, calm but filled with an undeniable sense of authority, echoed through the fleet's communication systems. It was a message from Earth's leaders, from the humans who had spent years preparing for this moment. "We are not the weaklings you think we are," the voice said. "You are not the first to underestimate us. You will not be the last." The alien commanders listened in disbelief. How could this be? They had thought they had already won. The galaxy had mocked humanity, laughed at them, and written them off as a lost cause. But now, with a single message, the humans had shattered their illusions. The battle had only just begun. The fleet's leaders were thrown into chaos. They had been so sure of their victory, so confident in their superiority. But now, for the first time, they felt a creeping sense of doubt. Could they have made a mistake? Had they truly underestimated humanity? The laughter that had filled the council halls now seemed distant, like a faint memory of a time before their arrogance had been exposed. And as the alien commanders struggled to regain control of their emotions, they had no idea that the real shock was yet to come. The humans, though still outnumbered and outgunned, were about to show them what it truly meant to fight for survival. The alien commanders, once confident in their invincibility, now found themselves questioning everything they had believed. The message from Earth had shaken them to their core. They had expected a world of simple, unarmed civilians, easy to dominate and conquer. Instead, they had encountered a resolve, a determination that they had not anticipated. As the alien fleet made its descent, Earth's atmosphere began to hum with strange energy. The first shockwave hit the alien ships like an invisible fist, rattling their outer hulls. The commanders were stunned. What was this? How could a planet with such primitive technology create such a force? Their ships were equipped with advanced shields, but even those systems struggled to maintain stability against the unexpected turbulence. The human warships, hidden from the alien eyes until now, emerged from the shadows. They weren't the massive, towering behemoths the aliens had envisioned, but they were far more advanced than anything the galaxy had expected. The ships were sleek, efficient, and deadly. Designed for surprise, they were equipped with weapons capable of targeting the weakest points of even the most advanced alien ships. The aliens had no idea that Earth had been preparing for this day for years, watching and learning, slowly but surely building a fleet capable of turning the tide. The first salvo of fire from the human warships hit the alien fleet with precision. The alien commanders, still trying to comprehend what was happening, ordered their ships to retaliate, but they were not prepared for the overwhelming power of the human weapons. The human fleet was using technology that had been reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships, combined with human ingenuity and resourcefulness. They had studied the weaknesses of their enemies and found ways to exploit them. The aliens had thought the humans weak, but now they were realizing the terrible truth. Humanity had been playing a long game, and they were not as helpless as they appeared. On the ground, cities that had once seemed vulnerable to invasion now seemed ready for battle. Earth's militaries, though small in number, had been armed with advanced technology, the fruits of human innovation that had been kept secret from the galactic powers. The alien forces, expecting to meet no resistance, were taken completely by surprise as human forces launched coordinated attacks from all corners of the planet. The shockwaves of the human strikes reached the very hearts of the alien commanders, leaving them speechless and disoriented. How could this be happening? Meanwhile, the human leadership, unshaken by the chaos above, remained calm. They had planned for this moment, their strategy already in motion. Across the planet, different factions of humanity had worked together, combining their knowledge and resources. What the aliens didn't realize was that Earth's power wasn't just in its military might. It was in the unity of its people. Humans, when faced with a common threat, became something greater than the sum of their parts. They were resourceful, adaptable, and relentless. Back in space, the alien fleet continued to regroup. The aliens had never fought an opponent like humanity before. They had faced countless species, each with their own strengths, but none had the cunning and sheer determination of Earth. The commanders of the alien ships began to realize that this wasn't just a fight for dominance. It was a fight for survival. The humans were not going to back down. "Pull back," one of the alien commanders shouted, his voice crackling with urgency. But it was too late. The damage was already done. The human ships had struck with deadly accuracy, targeting the engines and weapon systems of the alien fleet. One by one, the alien ships began to fall, their advanced technology rendered useless by the relentless precision of Earth's strikes. On the ground, human forces launched coordinated offensives against the alien invaders. The aliens had thought they were entering a world of weak, unarmed civilians. Instead, they faced an Earth united in its resolve to protect its home. From the moment the first shot was fired, it was clear that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The human military fought with the ferocity of those who had nothing left to lose, determined to protect their homes, their families, and their world. As the battle raged on, the alien commanders began to feel the weight of their arrogance. They had laughed at humanity, mocked their primitive technology, and underestimated their strength. Now, with every passing moment, the aliens realized how wrong they had been. The human forces were relentless. They adapted on the fly, learning from every engagement and using the environment to their advantage. They had turned the tables on the alien fleet, and the invaders were now the ones fighting to survive. The tide of the battle began to turn in favor of humanity. Alien ships, once thought to be invincible, now struggled to keep up with the speed and precision of the human strikes. The humans, with their adaptability and resourcefulness, had gained the upper hand. The alien commanders, who had once believed they were destined to crush Earth beneath their feet, now faced a very different reality. They were being outplayed by a species they had considered insignificant. Back on Earth, the human leaders watched as their forces continued to make progress. The battle was far from over, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. The human resolve was unshakable, their unity unmatched. This was no longer a fight for survival. It was a fight for the future of humanity. As the alien fleet began to retreat, its once confident commanders now struggling to comprehend the scale of their defeat, humanity had proved the impossible. The galaxy's laughter had turned to silence, and in that silence, the humans stood victorious. The true power of Earth had been unleashed, and the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The alien invaders had come to conquer, but what they found instead was a force unlike anything they had ever encountered. And now, the universe would know the truth. Earth was no longer the weak, helpless planet it had once been. It had become a force to be reckoned with. The alien fleet was no longer the unstoppable juggernaut it had once seemed. What had started as a sure victory for the invaders was quickly turning into a desperate retreat. The once confident commanders, who had mocked humanity as they launched their attack, were now caught in a trap of their own making. The galaxy had seen the humans as nothing more than a passing anomaly, a species too primitive to matter. But now, the invaders were witnessing something they had never expected, humanity fighting with a fury and precision that had caught them completely off guard. On the front lines, Earth's forces were relentless. They had been preparing for this day for years. The human military, small but determined, had put every resource into perfecting their strategies. They had studied alien technology, deciphered the most sophisticated weapon systems, and learned from the many failed attempts at defending their world in the past. Humanity was no longer the weakling it had once been. With the help of their secret alliances, their rapid innovation, and the sheer will to protect their home, The human forces were fighting like never before. The alien commanders scrambled to regain control of their fleet. The once pristine ships, designed to dominate, now shuddered under the force of the human attacks. The weapons they had relied on for centuries were failing. Their shields, once impenetrable, flickered and weakened against the onslaught. Every strike from the human warships seemed to find its mark. It wasn't that the aliens lacked strength or experience. It was that they had underestimated their opponent. They had underestimated humanity. From the alien perspective, the humans should have been easy prey. Their warships were smaller, their technology less advanced, and their weapons weaker. The alien fleet had every advantage, yet the humans had outsmarted them. In a bizarre twist, it wasn't superior firepower that turned the tide. It was human ingenuity. They had studied the weaknesses in alien designs, exploiting gaps in their shields, targeting weak points that the invaders hadn't even known existed. As the human fleet continued its assault, the invaders realized they were no longer in control. Alien ships that had once been symbols of fear and power were being destroyed, one by one. The human warships, seemingly small and insignificant compared to their mighty foes, were picking apart the alien fleet with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. No matter how many reinforcements the alien fleet sent, it wasn't enough. They were being outplayed. The alien commanders began to panic. They had never experienced this level of resistance before. In their arrogance, they had assumed that no species could match their power. But humanity had shown them otherwise. The aliens had never been truly tested. They had conquered countless worlds, but never had they faced a species so determined to survive. Earth was proving to be a formidable opponent, and the galaxy's invaders were quickly realizing they had made a terrible mistake. On Earth's surface, the situation was just as dire for the alien ground forces. They had underestimated humanity's preparedness. While the invading alien armies had been expecting an easy conquest, what they found instead was an army of fierce human soldiers, well-equipped and well-trained for every possible scenario. Humanity's military forces, working in coordination with their warships above, launched a series of devastating offensives against the alien ground troops. Human cities, once thought to be vulnerable to attack, now became strongholds of resistance. The alien invaders had expected to sweep through Earth's defenses with ease. But as they pushed forward, they found themselves facing unyielding resistance. Human soldiers fought with the fierce determination of those protecting their homes, their families, and their way of life. Every street, every block, became a battleground, and the invaders quickly realized they were not fighting helpless civilians. They were fighting soldiers who would not surrender. The humans' greatest strength was not their weapons, their ships, or their technology. It was their unity and resilience. Earth had been through so much in its history. It had faced countless challenges, from the rise and fall of civilizations to natural disasters that threatened to wipe out life. But humanity had always come together in the face of adversity. And now, that unity was showing its true power. The invaders had come to Earth thinking they were fighting a disorganized, vulnerable species, but what they found was a force that would not bow down. As the alien fleet began to fall apart, their commanders ordered a full retreat, but it was too late. The damage had been done. The human warships, using guerrilla tactics, continued to pick apart the alien fleet. Each alien ship that was destroyed was a blow to their confidence. The alien invaders had once thought they could conquer Earth with ease, but now they were being forced to flee. The human leaders, having coordinated their efforts flawlessly, watched the retreat unfold. They had proven to the galaxy that Earth was not to be underestimated. The battle was far from over, but the invaders had learned a painful lesson. They had made a grave mistake by underestimating humanity. The galaxy would no longer laugh at Earth. The humans had fought back, and now they were on the offensive. As the remaining alien ships fled the battlefield, their commanders were left with nothing but the bitter taste of defeat. They had come to Earth thinking it would be an easy conquest, but instead they had witnessed a force they had never expected. The humans had not only survived, they had thrived. Earth's strength, its resilience, and its unity had proven to be far greater than the invaders had ever imagined. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once before, and now they would remember the cost of that mistake. The galaxy was no longer laughing at Earth. Instead, it was silent. And in that silence, a new understanding was born. Humanity was not a species to be ignored. The true gods of war had been revealed, and now the galaxy would have to come to terms with the reality that Earth was not just another planet. It was a force to be reckoned with. The invaders' retreat was not as smooth as they had hoped. The galaxy had never witnessed a force like Earth's military, one that had not only withstood an invasion, but also struck back with relentless precision. As the alien ships tried to escape, human warships closed in with terrifying speed. It became clear that the battle was far from over, and the aliens had underestimated their enemy on a scale they could not comprehend. The human warships, once thought to be insignificant, now operated with deadly coordination. Their small size and seemingly primitive technology had been a perfect advantage in this guerrilla-style warfare. Earth's forces had studied every detail of the alien ships, their weapons, and their strategies. They knew where the weaknesses lay, and they had perfected the art of targeting them. As a result, alien ships that had once been symbols of fear were now being destroyed in rapid succession. The invaders' confidence was gone, replaced with confusion and fear. The human commanders were not about to give up their newfound advantage. They knew this battle could determine the future of Earth. They pushed their forces harder, risking everything to make sure the invaders could never recover. Every successful strike, every destroyed alien ship, was another blow to the invaders' morale. And as each ship was destroyed, the aliens began to question their arrogance. They had mocked humanity, underestimated its strength, and now they were paying the price. The alien leaders, who had once been filled with pride and certainty, now convened in secret, scrambling to find a way out of this nightmare. They had assumed the invasion of Earth would be quick and easy. They never imagined that humanity, a species they had seen as primitive and weak, would rise up against them with such force and determination. What was once a straightforward conquest had turned into an unexpected disaster. The alien fleet was in disarray, their ships damaged, their morale shattered, and their retreat hindered at every turn by the relentless human pursuit. On Earth, the mood was completely different. The human military, once on the defensive, now had the upper hand. The battles on Earth's surface were still fierce, but the tide had shifted. The alien forces, once so sure of their victory, were now fighting for their survival. Cities that had been under siege were now being freed, as human soldiers, emboldened by their success, pushed back the invaders. They fought with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that each battle won was another step toward securing Earth's future. Humanity's resilience was proving to be its greatest weapon. The invaders had come expecting an easy victory, but they had underestimated the spirit of Earth's people. Everywhere, from the military command centers to the front lines, humanity was showing a level of unity and resolve that was shaking the invaders to their core. They were no longer fighting against a weak, divided species. They were fighting against something much stronger, something they had never encountered before. As the days passed, the human strategy continued to unfold perfectly. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were taking the fight to the aliens, using their knowledge of the invaders' technology and tactics to their advantage. The human forces knew the alien fleet inside and out. They knew the weak points in the alien ships, the patterns in their movements, and the flaws in their weaponry. It was as if the humans had prepared for this moment for years, and in a way they had. Back in the heart of the human military command, the leaders were overseeing the destruction of alien forces with meticulous care. They had seen the signs of weakness in the alien fleet, and they were determined to capitalize on it. Their orders were clear. No alien ship would escape. No invader would go unpunished. The humans had proven they could withstand the aliens' initial assault, and now They were showing the galaxy that they could not be defeated. The fight for Earth was a fight to be remembered, a fight that would echo throughout the galaxy for generations. But the aliens, despite their losses, were not giving up easily. They had one last card to play, one final attempt to regain the upper hand. Deep within their fleet, they were preparing a desperate counterattack, one that would require all their remaining strength. It was clear to the invaders that their survival depended on this final assault. They would throw everything they had left into this battle, hoping to turn the tide in their favor. The human military, however, was ready. Earth's forces had faced much worse in the past: wars, invasions, and natural disasters that had tested their limits, and they had always come through, united and strong. Now, the human fleet prepared for the final showdown, knowing that the outcome of this battle would decide not just the fate of Earth, but also the future of the galaxy. Would the invaders' desperation be enough to turn the tide? Or would humanity's relentless fight prove that Earth was a force to be reckoned with? The stage was set for the final clash, and the galaxy held its breath. The humans had already shown that they were no longer the helpless species they had once been. They had fought back with everything they had. And now, the invaders would have to face the consequences of underestimating them. The galaxy had laughed at Earth, mocked its people, and thought they were nothing more than a primitive species. But now, as the final battle loomed on the horizon, the galaxy would have to watch as humanity proved it was capable of things no one could have imagined. The human warship, once thought to be insignificant, now stood as a symbol of defiance. The alien fleet was in full retreat, but it was not the humans who were running. The invaders had lost their confidence, their power, and their pride. They had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, and they had found a force that could not be stopped. The final chapter of this battle was about to begin, and no one knew how it would end. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The time had come. The air was thick with tension, and every ship in the human fleet knew the moment of truth was upon them. For weeks they had fought fiercely, but this final battle would be different. This would decide the fate of Earth, and the galaxy would never forget it. The invaders, who had once believed they could conquer the Earth without breaking a sweat, now found themselves fighting for their survival. The alien fleet was desperate, their movements erratic. What had once been a confident and organized force was now a disjointed, terrified assembly. The humans had given them no quarter, and with every passing moment, the invaders' resolve weakened. Their ships had sustained heavy damage, their morale shattered, and their leadership scrambling to find a way to reverse the tide. The alien commanders, who had once looked down on humanity as nothing more than primitive beings, were now questioning their every decision. How could they have underestimated these people? How could they have been so wrong? The human fleet, however, was more determined than ever. Their forces were spread across space, each ship moving with purpose, each crew member focused on the task at hand. They had learned from their mistakes, adapted to the alien technology, and now they were using it against their former oppressors. The human warships, though smaller, had become precision instruments of destruction. They could no longer be underestimated. In the heart of the human fleet, Commander Rachel Alvarez watched the chaos unfold. Her mind raced as she gave the final orders. There was no turning back now. The aliens had been relentless in their pursuit, but humanity had fought back with something the invaders had not counted on: resilience. They had seen their cities fall, their people suffer, but they had never given up. It was that spirit, that will to survive, that had brought them to this point. And now, with one final push, they would show the invaders just what humanity was capable of. "Prepare to strike," Commander Alvarez commanded, her voice steady but full of emotion. "This ends today." The human warships moved into position, each one ready to unleash everything they had. It was now or never. The invaders, still reeling from the previous defeats, were unprepared for the full force of humanity's final attack. The human fleet locked onto the alien ships, targeting their weak points with precision. The weapon systems were online, and the crews were ready. Every soldier, every officer, every engineer had done their part. The moment of reckoning was here. The first strike came from the lead ship, a human warship called the Vanguard. Its guns roared to life, sending a volley of missiles toward an alien flagship. The missiles found their mark, piercing the ship's outer hull and causing explosions to erupt from within. The alien flagship, once a symbol of their power, was now a burning wreck. The humans had struck first, and the message was clear: they were not to be trifled with. But the alien commanders were not finished. They fought back with everything they had left, launching a desperate counterattack. Their weapons fired in rapid succession, but the humans had anticipated this. They had learned from every encounter, every battle. And now they were able to counter the alien strikes with swift, decisive action. The human ships danced through the debris of fallen enemies, their movements almost like a deadly choreography. They fired back, each shot finding its target. The humans' tactics were precise, their ships moving in perfect formation as they encircled the remaining alien fleet. The invaders were surrounded, and there was nowhere left to run. The humans had been underestimated, laughed at, and mocked. But now, they had the last laugh. Every alien ship was under fire, and one by one, they began to fall. Inside the alien command ship, panic had set in. The invader leaders, who had once ruled with absolute authority, now found themselves powerless. Their fleet was being torn apart, their best warriors were dying, and their once pristine ships were burning. There was no escape. The humans were too skilled, too determined. The aliens had made one fatal mistake. They had underestimated the spirit of humanity. With every explosion, with every ship that fell from the skies, the humans grew bolder. They knew this battle could change everything. They were not just fighting for their survival, they were fighting for the future of Earth. The galaxy would remember this day, whether it wanted to or not. And as the human fleet advanced, there was a growing sense of pride, of victory. They had done the impossible, but there was no time to celebrate. The battle was far from over. As the last of the alien ships was destroyed, a final message crackled through the communication channels. It was the alien leader, a figure that had been unseen until now. His voice, once full of arrogance and confidence, now trembled with fear and disbelief. "You think you have won," the alien leader said, his voice echoing across the comms. "This is only a small part of what is coming. You will regret this decision." But Commander Alvarez, standing at the command console of the Vanguard, was unmoved. She had heard threats before, and this one was no different. With a calm and unwavering voice, she responded, "We've heard enough of your threats. It's over." And with that, the human warships fired the final barrage, ending the battle once and for all. The silence that followed was deafening. The galaxy had been watching, and now it was forced to reckon with the fact that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The invaders had believed Earth to be weak, primitive, and easily conquered. But in the end, it was they who had underestimated humanity's strength. Earth's victory sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The human fleet, which had once been mocked, now stood as a symbol of defiance and resilience. The invaders had learned a hard lesson: never, ever underestimate Earth. The battle for Earth had been won, but the war was far from over. The galaxy would never forget the day when humanity proved that they were not just survivors, but warriors in their own right. And the future of Earth, once uncertain, now seemed filled with limitless possibilities. The galaxy would forever remember the day when humanity stood tall and showed the universe that they were a force to be reckoned with.